Good morning. This is Tex, and this is Tex Talks. I have a question somebody asked me, and I want to go through and read the question, or at least read most of it, give a little discussion about it. Okay. It was about workplace relationships outside the work. So they wanted some advice about work relationships. There was a person at work who's in a supervisor type position, and they went out somewhere with some of their friends and met this person who's a supervisor there. He was there, and that person had told the person asking this question, "Oh, don't worry, I separate seeing people on the outside of work from what happens in the work, and it doesn't how I change, how I treat people. It doesn't make any difference." And so they wanted to know, well, how should they deal with that? And what was my opinion of that? Now, that's a complicated question. I say that because I am ex-military, and I've seen relationships where people that you work with in a small community, you have to cling to each other. Literally, I was in a place in Germany where there was no one else. So most of us hung out together regardless of rank. And if you know much about military, a lot of times your rank separates where you go and who you meet. For instance, if you're in the military and you're enlisted, then you might go to the enlisted club. Sometimes there's an NCO club, and it's separated because that way higher level enlisted could go and have a beer and play a game, pool, do things, and not worry about bumping into the lower enlisted people and getting into trouble. Because, it's like any workplace environment, relationships tend to get complicated. If you have someone who's in the chain of supervision, whether it's in the military, whether it's the government, whether it's in a civilian job, there's lots and lots of things that go into that. And I would love to give you a simple answer, but nothing's ever that simple in life, because it's possible that you establish a relationship with someone and they may say, "Oh, I can keep work separate from my personal life." It's very hard to do. It's very complicated. Okay. And depending on the level of that person, there may even be work requirements. Like in the military and academic environments, there are specifics that say you will not fraternize with individuals across this line. If you're a student, you're not supposed to be going out with the professors. If you're enlisted, you're not supposed to be going out with the officers. And I would assume that in certain government jobs, the supervisors and stuff like that, it's one thing to see them at a function or event. It's another one to go hang out with them. They may seem very cool. They may seem very nice. In fact, they may be a very nice person. I do know from personal experience, it is difficult to separate. Because if hanging out with people and an argument or something ensues, or someone's behavior or misconduct that wouldn't be appropriate in the workplace occurs, separating your feelings about that and what you think of that person in the work environment is very difficult. Sometimes it's a matter of you don't really have a choice. If you're in, like I said, such a small environment or remote location, they may be the only people around. Like I said, when I was in Germany, the unit I was in the middle of nowhere, and there wasn't any facilities or things for different people to hang out. And if you went downtown, you probably bumped into somebody. Still, there were certain people that you didn't do that with, the commanding officers, warrant officers, high-ranking enlisted. We might see them at a function. We might even see them at a family-oriented get-together, like all the families get together and do something together, a picnic or something like that to build camaraderie. But everyone still knew their place, and everyone minded their manners, and you know that. There are other situations where you're forced into that. If you're higher level enlisted, or if you're an officer, it's almost expected that you mix and mingle with the other officers, including sometimes the people in your command. They will be at functions and you have to be there, but you're always aware of who you are and who they are and what's going on. And you're always aware that this has an effect on your future. So it's about being cordial and being nice, but at the same time, not doing anything that later on you will be embarrassed about or regret. So where does that put us back when we're talking about you if you meet a supervisor from work? Depending on what level the supervisor is and depending on what kind of job you have. If it's your normal Mickey D's job, that might be different than if you're working for a corporation or you're working for a government job, or you're working for the military. Again, knowing what's going on, keeping your head clear and understanding. When you talk about going out to functions, then there's the question of, is there alcohol involved? Is there bad behavior involved? Because some people go out and party it down. I get it. And you always have to be aware of anything that you put out there follows you around, especially nowadays with phones and cameras. Anything you do can and will be put into the public eye. It'll show up on somebody's page. So being aware of your behaviors, you can be cordial, you can be nice. It's nice to have people that you hang around with that you can feel comfortable and be yourself with. You just have to be aware of the reality of it is sometimes if you have positions where you yourself might one day be the supervisor. See, there's where it really gets complicated. What if you hang out and party with your friends from work, but then one day you're promoted to supervisor? How are you going to handle that? If you bump into one of your supervisors while you're out with your friends, and you can talk to them, you can be friendly, you can play a game of pool with them, or, hang out, do that thing that you normally do, sports, whatever. You still have to be aware of, though, that in your mind somewhere is they are the supervisor. They do have a certain amount of power and they do make decisions. And I know everyone has these ideas that, oh, I control myself and I know what I'm doing. And no, you don't. If you're going to go out with your friends and you're going to imbibe and you're not going to make good decisions, you need to be aware of that to begin with. That's a problem. And it's a bigger problem if there's people there that you don't want to see you doing that. Odds are, if a supervisor sees you do something that really makes them upset while you're out partying, it's going to be very difficult for them not to be upset when they're at work. And they may keep it to themselves, but it burns in the back of their mind and it becomes part of their decision-making process. Hopefully, you're not doing anything that's going to make anybody that upset. It does happen, though. Keeping your head about yourself. Again, so my advice is to be nice, friendly, cordial. If it's tradition that people get together and people who are supervisors make it into the party list and they're all there at social functions and events, or maybe if you're out on the town, it's a little old hick town and there ain't a whole lot to do, you're going to end up at the same bar, pool hall, dance spot, whatever, restaurant, always being friendly, always being respectful, always being nice. Making a decision then on how much you do or do not want to have that person in your life is one that you have to sit down and really think about. Some people will even say, well, yeah, you want to be out with them, you want to hang out with them because that's going to help you later if you want to get promoted by being their friend. But that would seem to go against what was just said, that I keep them separate. If you believe that the person is going to give you favor because you're their friend and you hang out with them, then you know that that person isn't really ethical. They're not really telling the truth, especially if that's what you're hoping for. So that's why I said it's a complicated question. Have I been there? Yes, I've been the lower enlisted and I've been the medium level enlisted. So I've had to explain to people, hey, we're out, we're having a good time, we're dancing. This is Saturday night. Come Monday morning, we're back to being private such and such, sergeant such and such, corporal such and such. And most of the old military could handle that. I can say that the new military is having difficulty with that because that's maybe a mark of the generation. Everyone back then knew the limitations of what you could and couldn't do and what you should and shouldn't do, and were a little bit more prone towards understanding protocol. Nowadays, protocol goes out the window. So one person might be able to separate it very much and say, okay, we're out partying, we're having a good time, and Monday morning everyone's back to work and we don't even talk about the weekend. The thing is, you set up precedent. What happens then if there's another supervisor who wants to go out and hang out with y'all and maybe they're not? And now you have to have the brass cojones to get up and tell people, yes, you can, no, you can't, yes, you will, no, you won't. So my suggestion is always be careful, always be aware of your surroundings. You can still relax and have a good time. Just be aware of what you're doing and know that what you do reflects on you. That's kind of the way life is anyway. It's just that we often forget that when we're out partying and having a good time. Maybe you should keep that in mind though, okay? I know that didn't give you a yes or no, but if you know me by now, I have that therapist mentality. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm going to talk through it. I'm going to show you the pros and cons, and hopefully you're able to now make some sort of decision about what you want to do. There's nothing wrong with treating anyone that you're with like a human. There is no clear-cut answer. I don't know what the parameters of your work are. I don't know what the parameters of the rules as far as fraternization are, and I don't know what kind of trouble this could or could not lead to down the future for you. I just know, as always, keep your wits about you. Know what's going on. Know your environment. Know your surroundings. Know what you're doing. Okay? That won't stop you from having a good time. It just means that hopefully it'll stop you from doing something that you regret. All right? Y'all have a good day, and I'll talk to you later.